Hello everybody and welcome to another video on OMG Craft. Today we are taken aback by the new update. No, we are talking about 1.16.2, the newest update for Minecraft. Now, this is a minor miniature update. This ain't no big crazy update, aquatic or another update. It is just an addition to what we already have, which is the Nether update. So everything that we're going to be talking about right here is going to be small stuff, not big things, but these are things that you want to know if you like to be up to date on every change in Minecraft. Starting off with the biggest change, a new mob, and here it is, the Piglen Brute. You've probably heard about it already. But to go over some of the details, this is a different mob than the normal piglins. Those are zombified piglins right there. The piglins which already spawn inside of the Nether. There's another Piglen Brute. Piglins, where are you? They've gone extinct. No, here they are. Okay, so here are some piglins. We'll give you some light to see them by. These are the normal guys, and you can see that they are wearing brown, and the Piglen Brute is wearing black. Now, there are other changes other than just the skin. First off is that this guy has a ton of health. The health that this has is 50 points. Now each point is a half heart, so that equals 25 full hearts. A player only has 10. So this has 25, player only has 10. Also, they are always mad at the player. Gold does not matter. If you are in survival mode and you're wearing gold armor like you should whenever you deal with Piglen Brutes, they don't care. You can't also throw gold on the ground to get them to be distracted whenever that you come across them. So they're always going to attack. And guess what? That means that a chain reaction of attacking is going to happen, because you'll probably want to defend yourself attacking the Piglen Brute. And the Piglen Brute and Piglins are all in the same family, and Piglins will join the fight if you start a fight with another Piglin, including the Piglen Brute. Now, you don't have to be super worried that you're going to bump into these guys just in the world or whatever, because they only generate at world generation inside of Bastion Remnants. So this is the only place that you're going to find them. And also, they don't respawn. So you notice other mobs, if you leave an area and come back, then they'll pop back in. Well, not true with Piglen Brutes. These guys only spawn once when the world is generated and never again. So if you kill them all inside of a Bastion Remnant, they're never going to come back. They have a fancy new spawn egg, as you can see right here. And every once in a while, they will drop their golden axe, which is kind of cool, I guess. It's not as fancy as like one of those cool banners that you get from the raiding parties, because you can't actually craft those. There's too many layers, but you could just craft an axe, so not super special. Now, just like with piglins, if you take a Piglen Brute and bring it over into the overworld, not sure why you would want to do this, but they will turn into a zombified piglin over time. You can see this guy shaking just a little bit, like he's shivering because he's in the overworld. Ah, there we go. We kind of missed it because I was looking away. But there you go. Now he is a piglin, and you can see that he is still holding on to that golden axe, which is kind of fun. While we're here in the overworld, I want to show off something else, which happens to do with these lanterns right here. Lanterns and soul lanterns can be waterlogged along with chain. So that is a new addition, and since water doesn't exist in the Nether, I decided to show you this now so that we, can see it. Because we can't see it in the Nether. So that is some big news. Moving on to some accessibility changes. So, inside of your menu, inside of options, there is an accessibility settings option. And in here we have some new things. Distortion effect, FOV effect, and chat delay. So let's take a look at the distortion effect first. Right now we have it set to 100, so everything that's going on is what normally happens in the game. I'm giving myself the nausea effect, and as you can see, my vision's going whoa, whoa, whoa. But for some people who needed some special accessibility options, this is just way, way, way too much. So you can change the amount of distortion, and you could set it like in the middle. We're gonna turn it all the way off because it adds a special feature which I think is really, really cool, because if you turn it off, there's going to be no distortion at all. But then how do you know that you have the nausea effect? Well, as you can see from the edges of my screen, the screen turns green, which gives a really good impression that you have some type of effect, a nausea effect in this case. So I really, really like that additional addition of that. So let's set it to around 50% and do the exact same effect again. So you'll notice that my screen does wobble and wiggle just a little bit, but also we get a little bit of green on top of the wobble and wibble, and then it will all go away once the effect is over. So this is a sliding scale, obviously, because it's literally a sliding scale. If you only have 50, you only get 50% of the wobble, and you also only get 50% of the green effect. So you can basically choose which one you want. Next is FOV, and FOV stands for Field of Vision Effect. So currently, it's set to 100% because we haven't changed anything. So when we click this speed right here, you can see that we get a much wider field of view. Oh my gosh, and now I'm falling in lava. This is basically the same effect that happens. It's not quite the same, but whenever you go into like Quake Pro mode, right? But if you're in Quake Pro mode and you give yourself speed, like... this is like not useful. Like this is... Okay, Minecraft, slow down. We get it. You have a crazy field of view. We're gonna just set that back to normal, and at the same point, change the FOV effect settings, and we're just gonna turn it off. So now when we apply speed, nothing changes. Really, the only way that you can tell is because you have the speed indicator up there. Whoa, and of course I move like crazy. So that FOV effect doesn't affect us at all. If we set it somewhere near the middle, it'll affect us a little bit, but not totally. So it's pretty simple what that slider does for us. Finally is chat delay, and so we're just gonna set this at 2 seconds. And it basically means what it says it means. And so if you ever send anything in chat, so say hi, and then you send it again, and 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 send it again, and send it again. I'm not doing a very good job of sending them, but you can see that it tells you that you have pending messages, and then it will only send those messages however long you have your delay set to. So every 2 seconds, in my case, a new message will come forward. And that really helps with people who are on multiplayer servers and they need time to read what is going on. And so now you have a chat delay. One interesting thing is that does not apply to commands. So if I'm sitting here and I do this command, whoa, more than what I have the threshold set to, that will not be affected, but only things that players say will be affected. So I gotta go boop, 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 and you can see that that is way more than 2 seconds, or way shorter than 2 seconds in between those different commands. So it does not affect commands, just players. Next, before we move on to our beautiful list, let's talk about World Generation and Bastion Remnants. So, Bastion Remnants have changed just a little bit. The loot tables for the Bastion Remnants and what you'll get inside of the chests, that has changed, but not so significantly that I really need to mention it. One major change, which I find super duper interesting, is that chests have a greater chance to spawn on top of Gilded Blackstone. The more correct way to say it is Gilded Blackstone has a higher chance to spawn underneath chests because the chest positions haven't changed. Oh man, we haven't found one yet. We're getting unlucky here. Here's another one. Okay, finally we found one. If this wasn't switched, I was gonna just switch it out. Fake it till you make it, am I right? So this little change seems kind of weird. When I first heard about it, I was like, okay, like what does that matter? Like, who cares at all that we got some Gilded Blackstone underneath? Like, I'm not really searching for Gilded Blackstone inside of a Bastion Remnant. Then I realized that anytime that you break gilded blackstone or really any type of gold ore at all, including the nether gold ore, well, the piglin that can hear that block breaking get mad. And there was a technique that people have been using to pull items out of these chests, because there's another behavior that if you open a chest and a piglin can hear you open that chest, then they will attack you. So what people were doing was they would break the block underneath the chest, put down a hopper, and then the hopper will suck everything out of the chest. And piglin don't get mad at you opening up a hopper. They only get mad at you for opening up a chest. So now you cannot get around the opening of a chest to anger the piglins if there happens to be some gilded blackstone there. Now, many of the chests that I looked at also happen to have no gilded blackstone beneath them, so you could get lucky like this one right here, and then you wouldn't anger any piglins by just popping this hopper down there and then pulling. Wow, look at that, even the gold right there. That's awesome. So you have a chance to not have that be a behavior that the piglins do. That is super duper weird. And also I'm sure that you could use, like, I don't know, pistons to move things out of the way if you really wanted to get creative, if you didn't want to get them mad at you. But also you'll have the brutes to deal with as well. Moving on, there is a new recipe in the game, and all it is a brewing stand, but instead of cobble as the base, you can use blackstone as the base. This allows you to actually get brewing stands without going to the overworld. If you started in the nether, some game types do that, so you can make a brewing stand without ever heading to the overworld dimension. Next is a feature that lots of people really wanted, and that is horizontal chains. So chains were added into the game with 1.16 and people really liked them, but they wanted the ability to string them out horizontally instead of only vertically. So now that is an option. It works in every single axis. So x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, all good to go. Now there's a small issue that I have with them, that they do not connect if they are next to each other. So you're never gonna have these guys connect at the moment. Hopefully this gets fixed. That'd be fantastic if it got fixed, but they do not connect. And on top of that, lanterns, which can normally be hung at the bottom of vertical chains, cannot be hung to the bottom of horizontal chains or placed on top of horizontal chains. So there's a little bit of functionality we still would like. Mojang, please don't give up on the chains. But I do know a lot of people are very excited about horizontal chains. Get out of here, ghasts. And last but not least, I have a list of all of the minor changes, the little things that I titled this. First is nether vegetation, like the roots and sprouts and whatnot. They will not catch on fire. They are fireproof. Next is the potted cactus texture changed just a little bit on the top of the cactus, and then also the bottom, for some strange reason, for a while had a missing texture. So that has been changed, the top and bottom of the cactus. Next, eating a pufferfish gives you Nausea 1 instead of Nausea 2. Is this a big deal? No, because there is no difference between Nausea 1 and Nausea 2. It's just like Silk Touch, you know? It's like you can't get any Silk Touchier than Silk Touch 1, because nausea is nausea. There's no greater effect at effect number 2. So it's just been bumped down to 1, because really it should just be nausea, not Nausea 1. It should just be nausea. Next, the fungi of crimson and warped fungi can both be placed onto mycelium, which makes a lot of sense because this is like the mushroom block. You still have to place these fungi on their appropriate nylium, which is this grass looking stuff over here, to grow it into one of the huge fungus. So even this situation won't work. You'll have to put the corresponding fungi onto the corresponding nylium to use bone meal to grow it really tall, but you can at least place these funguses onto mycelium. Next, the Totem of Undying gives you fire resistance for 40 seconds when activated, which makes it a lot more useful in the nether. Endermen will also not put down blocks onto bedrock. So if Endermen go to the bedrock layer at the top of the nether and they're holding a block, they will not put that block down onto the bedrock, which is pretty nice. Next, this is the spawn egg for the piglins, and they will get mad at you if you open a chest with a minecart in it. So that was somehow excluded from their angering of chests, like I mentioned before. If you break a chest, if you open a chest, they get mad, and now that both applies to minecarts with chests inside of them. If you break one or if you open one, they'll get mad. This is the spawn egg for a villager, and they have some new particle effects whenever they choose a bed or choose a new job site. You'll see the green particles that you normally get when, like, say, bone mealing something. They'll emit those particles when they have chosen a bed or chosen a new job site. Hoglands, which are the converted Hoglands. So we've mentioned piglins and you got Hoglands. Well, when piglins go into the overworld through this portal, they'll turn into zombified piglins. But when Hoglands go into the overworld, they'll turn into zombified it's called a Zoglin. Anyway, it's complicated. They're mad at everything, but now you can use a lead to move them around, which is very useful if you're trying to get them from one place to another. He's mad at everything, even this little bat. Now, if you have a Hoglin and it is still in the process of converting, the lead will break between that conversion. But once you have it as a Zoglin, then you can lead the animal. Tools in the creative menu have changed just a little bit. So you go over here to this tools option. And before it was like all shovels, all axes, and you had to, like, if you wanted one of each, you had to move quite a lot. So now each one of the materials is in a new category. So if you want everything netherite, you can quickly choose every single thing that is netherite and then move on, where it used to just be all shovels and you'd have to choose the shovel type out of the shovel category, which is annoying. These striders right here have a small change. Some of them can spawn with a piglin riding them, and this is not the change, but the change is if the piglin is riding them, then it will have a fungus on a stick inside of its hand. Inside of its hand? I mean, it'd be holding a warp fungus on a stick. Okay, spawning a whole bunch, and here we go, we got one. So there is a zombified piglin riding a strider with a saddle and a warped fungus on a stick. So it exists, I swear. Back at the base, here we are with some respawn rules. So if you put down a bed, and obviously I'm not actually going to click this bed once I set it down, but if you were to do this in the overworld, by the way, if you click it, it'll explode. You do this in the overworld, if you enter from this side, you'll also respawn from that side. If you enter from this side, then you'll respawn on this side. So the bed remembers where you clicked the bed in order to set your respawn point. And this applies also to respawn anchors as well. If any of those spots are blocked, it'll do a better job of finding you a new location to respawn at. And finally, each one of these blocks in the older version of the game were considered transparent blocks, so that if your head or a mob's head was put inside of them, they would not suffocate. And now these blocks cause suffocation because they are more solid. Of course, there were a ton of bug fixes. I mean, that's basically the reason for 1.16. Not new features, but bug fixes. And those bug fixes have obviously occurred. So there's so many of them, we're not going to cover them. We're just covering the new and changed features. So you can check out that changelog at minecraft.net. That wraps it up for this 1.16.2 little update video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a big ol' thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe for future videos, tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights. I really appreciate my YouTube members, my members of the channel, for directly supporting me. Thank you so much for that. And also, check out merchandise at helloomg.com. See you in the next video. Bye.